Hi everyone, today I'm sorry I'm really late with uploading the video and creating it, but I have something great today. We will finish the chat on Unity client side so that we have all our current features that we have on our test client ready in Unity. And there are some tricks in Unity that you will learn. One is auto-scrolling a chat depending on if the chat is scrolled to the very bottom or not, and the other one is how to refocus input text field from Text Mesh Pro if enter is pressed, basically. In the next video I will show how I got the server ready and running in AKS, which is the Azure Cloud Kubernetes service. And currently this is already running. We will leverage it now, but I will show how I created infrastructure as code and everything in the next video to host our server in the cloud. I've already made a Unity build, and when I start the Unity client, I will see a screen, I see our game, and we can log in like we used to. But since the test account already has a character created, character creation is skipped and we directly will be in the chat. And I can write chat messages to myself, which actually go over to the server and come back. So when I start another client, and maybe let's register an account, maybe test3 at test3.de, and let's press register. We give it a name. Test3 sounds appropriate. We pick something, maybe a green one. We don't see the client now. This is the next thing being on the map. The server side of the map is actually ready so that players could walk around, but I will make a video about that when the client is also ready. Play testing user controls is kind of tedious to do. So when I write a message now here, hi, then I see test3 wrote hi. And when I go to the other client, we see that the message went through Azure to our backend and back. And if I spam the chat, we see that the scroll message, let's write 3x as a test, will scroll down. But if we scroll a bit up, let's say I want to read those messages and I receive new ones, then I don't want the chat to scroll. And that's actually what is not happening now. But when I want to scroll back again, I want to have the chat scroll again. I will make the chat window more beautiful in the future. And this also works if the other client sent message. Let me scroll up. And then we let the other client write 3x. Test3 wrote 3x. We go back, it's not scrolled. And if I scroll down, test3 wrote 3x. And if I wrote something else and go back, we see auto-scrolling is again enabled. Test3 can spam around and we will see that here. And that's what we talk about today. Let's first of all check Unity side. I made another screen for the chat window, which definitely needs some we need to make it more beautiful, which is basically just a scroll view with nothing in it. And we created a prefab, which is a chat message, which is basically a Text Mesh Pro text unit, but it has a layout element in it. And our content has the layout group vertical. So it's a vertical layout group. Whenever I put something in it, it will be from top to bottom. We have some padding left and right to make it more beautiful, else it will crash with the edge too much. And we have some content size fitter. What this actually does is it makes the content here on the left side, the game object, as big as the content is within. So this content game objects get bigger and bigger the more messages we have, and the scroll view will detect that and make the scroll bar accordingly to the size of the content. That's everything on Unity side. We created a screen controller script for chat. That's basically what we all did for all the other screens. It's the same from here out. We subscribe to some controlling, which basically can control us visible and non-visible. Very straightforward. With our pub subsystem on disable, we unsubscribe, and there we already have an issue. I forgot to unsubscribe also for the chat messages. We do that really fast. And we have a message, send chat message, which basically reads the chat message from our input, and then we publish chat message. And the tricky part here is that we have to do select and active input field again to reselect the input field when I press enter. If I remove those lines, I always have to click back into the chat text message to write the next message, and this way it gets reselected. And on Unity side, we have the chat input again, and with that chat input text, we have to go to on and edit, and we have to select our chat screen controller with the method selected that we just discussed. One thing to notice about on edit end, it will also trigger when we deselect another input field, for example, but we will create a fix for that later. But the more tricky part is actually the auto-scrolling. And it's quite simple, just a few lines of code, but there's some tricks around with Unity. We have our scroll rect, and we get the normalized position. The normalized position is 0 at very bottom and 1 at the very top for the Y coordinate. The X coordinate, our chat window isn't scrollable in the X coordinate for now. So when we are at the very bottom, we are very close to 0. It's actually sometimes even negative or 0, or maybe a little bit above, depending on what is actually happening in the current frame. Because you have seen we have the content size fitter for our content, for example. Because of the unsubscribe, Unity wants to recompile. And this content size fitter actually needs one frame to update everything. So there is some jiggling around with numbers behind the scene. You won't notice that as a user of the scroll rect, but the values behind the scene will update throughout the frame. So we detect if we are scrolled to the very bottom. Normalized position, like I said, is 0 to 1. And when we do want to have auto-scrolling, we start a coroutine to do auto-scrolling. The reason for that is if I set the value directly, the Y value to 0, which is scrolled to the very bottom, it doesn't actually work. The reason behind that is that, like I said, the content size fitter and the whole layouting system needs a frame. And yeah, actually one frame would be enough, but I thought let's give it 2 frames. I mean, 2 frames is a blink of an eye. After the 2 frames, we scroll to the very bottom, and when the user has moved the scroll rect, it doesn't scroll anymore. A pretty short video for today. Next video will be a little bit longer. We will show how we got the server ready in the Azure cloud. I wish you everyone a very good weekend and have a good day. Bye.